Hey friends, it's Sherman, and I just came back from watching Batman v Superman at the theater, and I have a lot of thoughts. And so, since I haven't made a video in forever, let's do a video about this. Initial thoughts about the movie. It was good. It was fun. It was action packed. It was amazing seeing Batman and Superman on the same screen together because it's literally never happened, and the addition of Wonder Woman was amazing, especially as a comic book fan. That was so cool, and a fan of like pop culture in general. Just amazing to see that because it's never been done before. Um, that said, there was a lot to work on with the movie as well, but then there was a lot of good, so it's kind of a mixed bag. First, so I'm gonna go through my five favorite things, and then some of the things that I think need a lot of work. So my five worst things, and then there's like a little bit of additional explanation with those as well, and then I'll give my final thoughts, and then that'll be it. Yeah, let's get into it. So one of my favorite things about the movie was Batman. Batman was amazing in this movie. I'm a huge Batman fan. Batman's one of my favorite comic book properties. He was so well developed. He had motive. He had all the tools. I'm sick of seeing like young Batmans. So I like that we just skipped to Batman. He's been doing it for years. That way he's more experience. And one of my favorite things about Batman is his supporting cast. So I would love if they do like an independent Batman movie from here that involves a lot of his like supporting cast. That's something I would really like to see. The thing with Batman too is like he's been through it. Although I kind of didn't like the fact that they just talked about the Bat Vigilante at this point, so it made it feel like he was kind of been doing like he wasn't as active for the last 20 years, or like no one talks about him. So like, oh, the Bat Vigilante, like it's a new thing, but it's not a new thing if he's been at it for 20 years. Maybe it's just a new thing in Metropolis, but they're so close in this sort of DC universe that I didn't really get that. But his relationship with Alfred was great. Seeing the Batcave and all the tools and the equipment, that was cool. The gadgets that were there, that was cool. The way he fought was very like the Arkham games, which I'm a huge fan of. So that was really cool to see that in real life. And Batman's fighting styles, like in other movies, especially like the Joel Schumacher ones, were really lame. That didn't really show him as like a great fighter. And the Nolan ones felt like he was more of a ninja, whereas in this movie it felt like he was kind of a brawler, or he's been through like he's trained in many different types of fighting, which I thought was great. So yeah, that's my kind of thoughts on Batman. Moving on to Wonder Woman, she was great. She was like, I would like to say she's the perfect first date. You just got enough of her that you're wanting more. And then it planted enough seeds that you wanted to like. I'm excited for Wonder Woman. Like, if you would have asked me before if I'm excited to see the Wonder Woman movie, I'd be like, I'll see it, but I don't really care. Now, having seen the movie, I think that I'm super excited for her movie, and I think it would be a lot of fun learning about where she's been the last 100 years and what she has gone through and why she left her island. Next up, Superman. He's actually one of my favorites in this movie as well, because I watched Man of Steel last night, and Man of Steel is slow and bad. I thought it was great when I saw it in theaters originally 3 years ago, but watching it last night, it's boring and it's slow and it's a little rough. However, Superman here, you see his struggle with how he's perceived by the public, and you see him trying to do the best he can, and then he kind of has this whole arc where he's finally accepted by the end of the movie to the general public, and I think that's great, and I look forward to see what they do with his character in the future. Yeah, he wasn't a Boy Scout either, like he's kind of written in some of the movies and the film. Before, he just is well-rounded, and he wants to do the right thing, but he's constantly misunderstood, and so I kind of, as a 25-year-old who fucks up a lot, it was relatable. Next, I really love Lex Luthor. People have kind of said he's awful and kind of like the Riddler from Batman Forever. No, Batman Forever, yes. But I liked him. I thought that he kind of represented the sort of orphan genius who's kind of an outsider, and I liked that Lex Luthor, Batman, Bruce Wayne, and Clark Kent kind of represented three different versions of orphans and how different ways they can go, and how like Lex's sinisterness comes from his curiosity, or maybe that's just what I got from it. My fifth favorite thing was the visuals. The visuals in this movie were great. Zack Snyder is amazing at visuals. The opening sequence involving the Wayne's death, that's really like not a spoiler. It felt very much like a Watchmen sort of entrance. Yeah, I thought it was great, and like he's a master of showcasing big action sequences, which is awesome. Now let's go into the worst list. Pacing, pacing, pacing. The first hour was rough. I think I needed one more action sequence at the start just to kind of like keep me in it. But there was so much exposition and so much talking and so much. I don't know. It just got like hard to get into it. I checked my phone a few different times. It just there was a lot of moving pieces, and I think that maybe like the narrative lacked by wanting to find ways to kick off Superman story, Wonder Woman story, and Batman story. So it just felt like they kind of were pushing in pieces and weren't sure where to put them. Like, you're putting in something in the dishwasher and you couldn't find a right place to put that. So I think I maybe would have like maybe spent a little more time trying to like slim down what everyone's sort of goals were to make that. Well, I don't like where they went with all things were kind of not awful, but just it just was a little rough getting there. So the second half was amazing and full of action and story, and it felt like a comic book put to life. But the first hour was just a little rough, and the lack of action at the start was just kind of buzzkill. But there's not action sequences in every comic book, but I think I would have liked a little one more just to kind of keep me in it. Number two thing or number three-ish thing that I didn't really like was Lois Lane. She was kind of a Mary Sue. She's kind of like, oh, she just is there. She's just there. And, like, they couldn't really find, like, I guess being a civilian and being just Lois Lane, it sort of made sense, but I just thought that, like, I don't know, I just thought, like, there was places where she just didn't fit, and, like, it was just too convenient, and they're like, oh, but we need Lois doing something, so let's put her there. So I felt like her character was kind of, I don't know, more on the front lines than she should be, but they needed her to do things, but I don't know, it just didn't seem realistic to me because, whoa, sorry, I forgot one thing that's on my best list. The imagery, going to the imagery and visuals, I felt like they made sort of the Battle of Metropolis sort of like 9/11, and I thought that was a great sort of visual for the current sort of modern day post 9/11 atmosphere. And what happens with Superman at the end felt very like the memorial at 9/11 right now, and that made me cry when I went to New York 5 years ago. Number four, Snyder's storytelling. Sometimes it's just a little choppy and a little how did we get here, and it's a little discombobulated sometimes. I know that Chris Terrio was who helped script the story did great, but a few times at the start of the movie, that first hour, I was like, oh, this is heading to Amazing Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3 or like Batman and Robin territory. Just like there's a lot going on. It needed sort of like a smoother narrative. Yeah, that was a little rough. And the comic book coincidences too. Sometimes some like when not really a spoiler, but Clark Kent figures out Batman's identity. He's just like, oh, Bruce. Like, how did you didn't really explain how he got to that point? I know we probably don't need to, but it was like, oh, you know that? Okay. And the fifth thing I kind of didn't really like was the dream sequences. As a DC fan, or as like a comic book fan more in general, I'm more of a Marvel fan, but whatever. I thought they're great. The dream sequences were like good to have there, so we can kind of get a sneak peek of what's to come. But I just didn't understand why Batman was having these dream sequences when he has nothing, like no knowledge of Darkseid or no like, because that's all what the dream sequences was alluding to. But he hasn't seen the parademons yet. He hasn't been there yet, so I don't really understand why those were there. It's confusing. Like, because Batman's not telepathic, so I don't really get what was going on with those. And even Superman's dream sequences, that could have been cut too. I just felt like, with the other cuts that have been made, cutting out Robert Gordon, which is just still a rumor at this point, I just thought it was kind of silly. Final thoughts on the movie. Don't get bogged down by the first half. If it's a little slow and a little dry, just stick around for the second half. It's amazing. It's not like Marvel, which is fine. It's a little darker, which is fine. I just think maybe it makes like that explains sort of the inaccessible thing that I've seen a lot in reviews. But stick around; it's going to be a great ride. I'm curious to see what else they're going to be doing because competition's healthy and competition's good, and I can't wait to see what they do next. And I'm proud how they sort of made the Trinity all do have an arc, and that was something I'd worried about. I thought someone was going to shortchange about it, but it was good. Overall, I would probably give it a 7 out of 10, just because the first half was just a little dry and turned people the wrong way, and I get that. But the second half is really great. Yeah, go see Batman v Superman, especially if you're a comic fan or pop culture fan, just so you kind of know what's going on. Maybe do a little bit of homework first, so you can maybe enjoy it a little bit more. Yeah, and talk to you soon. Love you, goodbye.